Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for watching, spending your Thanksgiving morning with us here on WCNC Plus. That is Chris Mulcahy. Jeb Goldman's also here in studio. Happy Thanksgiving, Chris.
Happy Thanksgiving. We're pumped.
I love the tie.
Thank you very much. So funny thing about this tie, I've had this for about 10 years of my career. I wear this on Halloween and Thanksgiving. This is my two a year tie.
2 fall holidays.
Yes.
Like big holidays.
Sometimes on St. Patrick's Day because I can't wear green. So I represent 2 of the 3 colors on the Irish flag.
That's right.
Yeah, so this is my holiday tie. So welcome, everybody.
I was telling Jeb that I got to run in I usually run on Thursdays. And it was cold, man. It was a shock to the
You
system.
ran this morning?
I ran this morning.
Man, so you were turkey trotting just by yourself.
I was gonna say the Nick Sturdivant turkey trot. He made it on his own. He was
Hey.
like, "I gotta be working 6 a.m. I'm still getting that turkey trot."
Yeah, man. Look, it was longer than the turkey trot, so I just had to put that out there. I got to put that out there.
How long were you trotting?
5 miles.
5 miles?
5 miles.
Well, how long was the turkey trot? I thought there was a 10K trot.
It
Whoa,
might-
you're overachieving there, Chris.
Oh,
it's
come
usually
on.
like
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
3.1.
Oh, really?
Only
It's not
5K?
10K?
No, it's a 5K, man. It's a
okay.
trot, man. It's not a run.
Okay, it's not a scamper.
It's not scamper.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
there
I
you go,
feel like
there
it
you
would go trot, then scamper, and then you're losing the alliteration.
But it's
so.
not. It's not insignificant. 3 miles is a lot of miles. You
No,
should-
for
like
sure.
that is
No,
a
100%.
great accomplishment. I don't want to downplay that.
I actually told this story earlier today, and this is no disrespect for the runners out there. It's great. I ran cross country. I was decently fast. I could run a 5K in about 18 minutes. But one day I was just out running, and I just said, I strongly dislike this. Might even use word hate. But then, and then since then, my knees have gotten worse, and I haven't been running. But unless I'm in danger, and then I can get away pretty fast.
Then you can move.
Instead of 18, 25 minutes. I got you. I got
Yeah,
you. That's
no,
your-
I don't even know. I think the last time I ran a 5K was not by my own will. It was about probably 10 years ago, and I think it was probably around 25 minutes, and I wanted to throw up in a
That
trash
is
can.
pretty good.
I was gonna say that's about that's about what I'm doing
Yeah, man.
on my good days.
You guys are fast, man. I'm trying to keep up with y'all, man.
No, well, what's your pace going on?
I do a lot. I haven't. When's the last
we don't
time?
even know what your 5K
I know,
pace
they-
is
they
because
keep-
you always run like 10 miles.
No, okay. So last 5K, it was on a trail, and I didn't know it was on a trail. And obviously, trail is
Big
different
difference.
from pavement.
Yeah,
so
I
I
mean,
think I did it in like 26.
Yeah,
something
you were
like
That's
you were
great.
low to mid eights. Like
Yeah.
it was you
Yeah.
were moving.
Yeah, I was
That's
moving.
good.
Yeah.
No, that's really good.
But you guys,
No,
yeah.
I was telling this story about a decade ago, man. I was in my 20s. I'm not in my 20s anymore. So I
we're
like.
about the same age.
Yeah, I might have some years on you.
Yeah,
I might have some years
I
on you.
think we're about the same
Okay,
age.
we'll talk about this a little bit.
Look, I think the lack of gray hair here on my beard is making me look a little.
Well, and I have mine going right here. I
I'm
got
not-
salt and pepper here.
I wasn't calling you out
Yeah, you're
gray
calling
hair.
out that-
I was not. I
wow.
wasn't
Happy
saying it.
Thanksgiving,
I'm just
Chris.
saying. Never mind.
Hey, do you know what you need some seasoning for Thanksgiving, right?
You know, before I put my foot in my mouth, let's get to the forecast.
Okay, not too late, my friends. You put your runner foot in your mouth. All right, 43 degrees. That's where we're at right now. It is a nice little comeback from Nick Sturdivant was doing his 5-mile run. We had temperatures in the upper 30s. That's the low that we had for the morning. And 29 degrees right now around Boone. It dropped to freezing around Lincolnton, and we're now up to about the mid to the upper 30s there. Up and down the 321 stretch from Catawba to Lincoln County, mid to the upper 30s, and then soon we'll be warming up back into the 50s, but barely. Elsewhere across town, not a bad look here on Beach Mountain. Just joking, can't see anything. The clouds are starting to move back in there, so that's really a telltale sign that more clouds are going to move back in. But if you look at the exact opposite of our viewing area over in Anson County, you see some upper level clouds, pretty decent. A spectacular looking Thanksgiving all in all. It could get a little bit cloudier heading into the afternoon, but only briefly. So ending November, these are the last 4 days of November, and then I'm going to bring up my weather stat of the morning. It's kind of staggering. 54 is the high today, but believe it or not, that's actually the warmest day that we have over the next 4, and even the warmest day that we have over the next 7. So get ready for the upper 40s. But since we have colder highs and colder lows going forward, check this stat out. If November were to end today, this officially would have been the 4th warmest November in Charlotte history. But factoring in the last 4 days of the forecast, so what I did was I took all the highs and lows through 26 days and added my forecast for the highs and lows of the next 4 days. It brings us from the 4th warmest to the 19th warmest on record, bringing our average for across 26 days down over 2 degrees. That shows how cold the last 4 days are to bring us from number 4 to the 19th warmest. Now, we're still top 20, don't get me wrong, but that's significant. But focusing in on your turkey day, hopefully your turkey looks this good. Hopefully it looks better than that because this turkey kind of looks dry that I just covered up with the bars. Well, you have temperatures in the lower to the mid-50s, and it will be an on and off breezy day. Yesterday we had some gusts up to about 30 miles per hour. Still have a wind advisory that's lasting for a couple more hours up in the mountains. That's going to expire and should actually expire a little bit earlier. But what I think is really interesting, I've been showing this graphic for the last several days now, when it feels like is actually feeling more like December 21st, aka the first day of winter, or it's feeling more like the middle of January, which the middle of January has an average high of 52, so it's actually even cold for January times. That's how chilly that we're about to be, and that's how we're going to be starting off the month of December. Now, I can show you the inverse. Not trying to live in the past, but here's where we have been over the last 10 days. Oh, it was glorious. We had the mid-60s to around 79, and then we had 80 degrees, and actually, if you went back to day 12, you actually popped up to 79 once more. So this has been unreal, actually feeling more like October. But as I just showed you, it is now back to more of a winter-like status. So winter is coming? No, it is here. Now, what about our rain chances? Our rain chances are going to be elevated realistically only heading into, I would say, Sunday, and then after that we're going to have another spike heading into Tuesday. Now, both of these are likely rain chances, but rain chances does not talk about duration. So let's go to our travel circle. So the travel circle I like to use around the holidays because it depicts a 300-mile radius across the city of Charlotte and surrounding areas. So most people are driving within the circle if you're traveling. So say if you're just visiting us, just joining us on WCNC Plus, we love you, we thank you. But if you are leaving on Sunday, rain is moving in, especially if you're driving to the western side of this circle, so west of Charlotte. This is 9 a.m. on Sunday. Panthers fans, you could get wets. This isn't just a rain, it's a rain in the mid to the upper 40s. That is a cold rain. I don't care who you are, that's not a nice time. Now, the good news is I think a lot of this is going to be very light and even spotty at times, but you are looking at a chance for rain. And even if it doesn't rain, it's still a cloudier Sunday. Sunshine makes you feel about 10 degrees warmer, so we don't even have that going forward. But now I want to talk about the big weather highlighter. By Monday, we're just cloudy. By Tuesday, this is 4 a.m., 10 a.m., 6 p.m., and then heading into Wednesday. So what you just saw was widespread rain, especially southeast of Charlotte. So there's a good chance that a good portion of our viewing area could actually be seeing rain pretty much from sunrise to sunset. Now, a lot can still change here. That's way too far out in the forecast, but here it is. Let's wrap it up a bow. Our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast as it's taking its time. 54 is the top for your Thanksgiving. After that, we have the upper 40s. 44 degrees, by the way, is going to be the high when it's raining on your Tuesday. 50 with sunshine coming back on Wednesday. So, yeah, 54 is not too bad. Certainly well below where we should be for this time of year, but let's focus in on the good, y'all. Happy Thanksgiving. It could be a whole lot worse. And it's great being here on WCNC Plus with my man Jeb and Nick.
Man, it's Thanksgiving. Favorite side? I know turkey is always the main dish.
What was that?
Favorite side?
Favorite side? Oh, dude, this sounds really weird, but the jelly disc cranberry sauce.
Jelly?
Yeah, like the canned cranberry sauce.
Oh, really? You're the first person I've heard say that.
No, I look forward to it every single year.
Okay.
Yeah, like I want artificial discs of cranberry sauce. That's what I love the most.
How do you feel about green bean casserole?
Oh, that's number 2, baby.
Okay.
That's number 2.
I'm not hating on casserole. I'm not, green bean casserole.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of all casserole.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying.
Cranberry sauce discs. Number 2, green bean. Number 3, stuffing or dressing, whatever you call it.
Okay. I say yams, mac and cheese, greens.
Nailed it.
Chris, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for stopping
Happy Thanksgiving.
by, man. Enjoy it with your family, man. All right. So a big tradition outside of dinner, you talking about watching the parades, going to the parades. There's a parade happening right now in Philly, New York. You know, New York, Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade happening right now. Lee Waldman is live along the parade route. Lee, we got some beloved favorites coming back this year, along with some new faces in our balloon lineup. Tell us about it.
Dave, can you hear me?
Can you hear us, Lee?
I can hear you now.
Okay, so Lee Waldman is there in New York for the parade, Macy's Day Parade.
I don't know if it's this cord or what it is, but I'm hearing them for a second and then I'm not hearing them.
We'll get back to Lee in just a moment. But yeah, Thanksgiving Day parade. A lot of folks are gonna be there. Turkey trot here in Charlotte. Built in tradition. Chris is still here. He didn't leave. Come on, let's bring Chris back.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to see what's happening at the parade.
I think we all want to see what's happening at the parade.
It is colder up there.
What's your favorite Thanksgiving tradition?
Thanksgiving. Do you know what? Like, as cheesy as it sounds, I truly like reflecting on what you're really thankful for.
Yeah.
Because think about it. In the day-to-day, it is so easy just to say that you want more. Or it's so easy to say, I don't want to go to work and do that type of stuff. We're just thankful to have a job. We're thankful to have the coworkers that we have.
Yeah.
Thankful to have the family members that we have. We're thankful that the Panthers don't have a losing record, as you were saying yesterday. I'm thankful that my Patriots are 10-2. But it can be the superficial things like my fantasy teams beating everyone here at WCNC. Or it can be something as more meaningful as the family members. But I think just really taking that one day, just because it's in the name, to realize what you're thankful for and how lucky you are in different categories. That's what I really love.
Best day of the year to really reflect and really, hey man, just really count your blessings.
It's not that bad sometimes.
It's not that bad, man. And again, just to kind of piggyback off what you're saying, I'm thankful for the crew here, the stream team, the newsroom. Chris, you, Jeb, you as well, man.
Appreciate
you guys
it.
are awesome to work with. I love doing weather with you. When you're the few times a
The
year,
rarity.
the rarity that we get to do it, but it's always
Now, as you might have been, if you've been with us the whole time, most of the time when Nick and I are together, especially if Jeb's in the mix, we take sometimes 5 minutes to get to weather because we have a bunch of tangents to go on, but that's life. You don't ride those tangents. That's what life's all about.
Jeb's he's on the high right now because his Niners beat my Panthers.
Oh, yeah. See, you knew you weren't going to win that game with Christian McCaffrey. I knew it. I'm sorry. Like, the revenge game wasn't going to happen.
I don't know if it was okay. I thought we had a chance. We definitely had a chance during the game.
Well,
It was always a winnable game, and we just didn't get the job done.
no, I think, and well, first off, the defense gave all the opportunities.
Yeah.
And really, as we switch over to a sports analyst here, the Panthers are now, I think this is a perfect thing that you want from a rebuilding team.
Yeah.
That you see what their peak is, but you also see what their floor is.
Yeah.
And not to bring my Patriots back in this, over the last couple of years, we did just that. Like Drake May last year had some really bum games, but you saw some of the greatness.
Yeah.
And you can see kind of like McMillan really starting, T-Mac really coming into his own.
Yeah.
Seeing what Horn can really do for this defense.
Yeah.
Like the defense, I think, is one of the surprising things that's happened this season.
Even with all the injuries?
And even with the injuries, yeah. So I really like, if the Panthers can finish with a winning record, even since it's 9-8, I think that is just going to just bring them to the highest level. So we're lucky, and we're not out of it. There's still a lot of close teams in that wild card that they can still make
We're
it.
still a game behind the Bucks in the NFC South.
Is it only one game?
Yeah, it's only one game.
Wow.
Yeah, we're right there, and we still have yet to play the Bucks.
And
this
guess
year.
what? Baker might not play this week.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we'll see. We got the Rams, man. The Rams look like the best team in.
Oh yeah, I forgot you're playing the Rams.
we
no.
got the Rams. We got the Rams.
But that weather, I mean, who knows how they'll play in a rainy? I mean, it could be a gross day. It's sunny LA. They don't have to worry about a lot
That's
of these
true.
conditions. So
Yeah.
we don't know how they'll play.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And for the fans, I just kind of feel bad about it. But for Sunday, there might be some optimism that the rain breaks up, and I'm really hoping for.
Yeah.
Because just sitting in those stands when it's in the 40s and rain, it's miserable.
It's
Yeah.
terrible. It sucks.
And typically when you have a system like this is showing that a front's trying to roll in. It
Yeah.
probably will be a little bit on the breezier side as well. So,
Wow.
Basically-
I'm hearing cheap tickets.
and I'm hearing Rico Dowdle
Rico Dowdle.
and
Okay,
Chuba.
Canales, run the ball.
Let's get some play calls.
Listen to a news anchor, a producer, and a weatherman. That's what you need.
Hey,
right there.
we got the solution. Chris Mulcahy, again, thankful for you, man. Thankful for you too, Jeb. I'm thankful to be here with you guys on Thanksgiving. Spend Thanksgiving.
I do want to mention one last
Yeah,
thing.
go ahead.
My Knicks ick for the week is definitely Tuesday.
Okay.
So
Tuesday.
Nick's Ick,
Put that on
44
the
degrees with a good chance for rain most of the day and little to zero sunshine. So again, Nick's Ick is going to be definitely on Tuesday. The pick of the week that I had, we already had that. That was yesterday.
All right, my man Chris Mulcahy. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. All right, get out of here, man. Go home.
Goodbye.
All right, let's switch gears now. Totally switch gears. Let's reset. We want to take you now to a press conference. I believe this is in D.C. So if you remember yesterday here on Live Impact News, we were on it quickly after we heard about a shooting there just a couple of blocks from the White House. Now, according to NBC News, the suspect in the National Guard shooting, they're learning, served alongside U.S. troops in Afghanistan. That's according to a relative. But just to take you back, 2 National Guard members were critically wounded after a shooting yesterday, and then a couple of blocks away from the White House. Let's take you now to that press conference. It just got underway.
Tragic shooting that occurred on 2 brave members of the West Virginia National Guard as they served. Give upon torn apart as a result of the actions of one man. First and foremost, our hearts go out to the victims and their families. These are dedicated service members who were performing their duties in service to our nation, and they are currently in critical condition. They have undergone surgery. We pray for their well-being as they continue to be cared for in the best possible way. We have been in constant contact with their families and have provided them with every resource needed during this difficult time. The 2 National Guards men that we're talking about are Sarah Beckstrom, who's 20 years old, and Andrew Wolf, who is 24 years old. They were uniformed members of the West Virginia National Guard, and they were in D.C. to keep D.C. safe, pursuant to President Trump's executive order to make D.C. safe and beautiful. They answered the call, they took the charge, they volunteered, they put their lives on the line for people they don't even know. And that, unfortunately, is becoming a reality more and more for the members of law enforcement. Yesterday on Thanksgiving Eve at approximately 2:15, near 17th and I Streets in the northwest section of the district, near the Farragut West Metro Station, 2 uniformed guardsmen were ambushed in a brazen and targeted attack. A lone gunman opened fire without provocation, ambush style, armed with a .357 Smith & Wesson revolver. One guardsman is struck, goes down, and then the shooter leans over and strikes the guardsman again. Another guardsman is struck several times. Fellow guardsmen who were there responded immediately, engaging the suspect, neutralizing the threat, and subduing him at the scene. He was transported to a local hospital where he remains, as we speak, under heavy guard. Thanks to the swift and coordinated response of the National Guard and the Metropolitan Police Department, no additional victims were harmed, and the scene was secured within minutes. The suspect, he has been identified as Ramanullah Lakhanwal, a 29-year-old Afghan who entered the United States under Biden's Operation Allies Welcome, a program following the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. He resided in Bellingham, Washington, with his wife and, we believe, 5 children. And we're working very closely with our federal partners, especially DHS and the FBI, to review his immigration history and the vetting process itself. What we know about him is that he drove his vehicle across country from the state of Washington with the intended target of coming to our nation's capital. As we stand here today, the charges that are appropriate right now are 3 counts of assault with intent to kill while armed, a violation of DC Code 22-401 and DC Code 22-4502. He will also be charged with possession of a firearm during a crime of violence. He faces 15 years under the assault with the intent to kill. We intend to continue monitoring what the charges will be, depending upon the well-being of the guardsmen. We are praying that they survive and that the highest charge will not have to be murder in the first degree. But make no mistake, if they do not, that will certainly be the charge, murder in the first degree. The Department of Justice, under Attorney General Pam Bondi, is committed to a thorough and an impartial investigation where we will hold this perpetrator accountable under the full weight of the law. Now, Sarah and Andrew volunteered. They came here to protect the people of the district, pursuant to a crime emergency that President Trump rightly declared in this city and in other cities across the country. Our nation's capital should not and must not be a place where evil comes to commit violence, whatever their cause or motive may be. We should not have to live in fear in the nation's capital, especially by one who came here from a foreign country. And through a process that was so absurd that he came through and released into this country, as many were, knowing virtually nothing about his vetting. This is what happens in this country when people are allowed in who are not properly vetted. These guardsmen and all who are here to protect the district are the line that separates a civilized society from a barbaric one. They are the ones who stand for law and order. This was not just an attack. It was a direct challenge to law and order in our nation's capital. And the individual will be made fully accountable. And though it seems that we have been here before under President Trump, make no mistake, and the Attorney General, we will not allow this to be normalized. It will be confronted, condemned, and prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Now, my message to the individual who committed these acts is you picked the wrong target, the wrong city, and the wrong country, and you will be sorry for the violence and the evil that you perpetrated in our nation's capital. And now I call upon the Director of the FBI, Kash Patel.
Thanks, Judge. I'll begin my remarks and my remarks the same way, with prayer for our fallen soldiers, prayer for our law enforcement community, prayer for our National Guardsmen and women, prayer for our brave prosecutors at the Department of Justice and the offices of the D.C. United States Attorney. We must come together as a nation, especially on this Thanksgiving Day, and remember the sacrifices that so many are making around the world and around this country to secure our freedoms under President Trump's brilliant leadership and administration. I'll provide an update on the case as follows. It is an ongoing investigation of terrorism. Make no mistake about it. The FBI is leading out on these federal assault on a federal law enforcement officer investigation on many fronts. We immediately, with our law enforcement partners in the Metropolitan Police Department and the interagency, secured the scene, seized the weapon, sent in our evidence response team immediately to collect evidence and started doing block-by-block canvasses. We are looking for and interviewing witnesses. The firearm and other materials have been sent to our Quantico laboratory already yesterday for immediate analysis. That work is ongoing. Partnering with the D.C. United States Attorney's Office, we have also executed multiple search warrants around the country to include the subject's last known residence, which is in the state of Washington. The search warrant was executed on that house last night or early this morning, and it is an ongoing process. All the individuals found in the house have been interviewed, and some interviews remain ongoing. We will not stop until we interview anyone and everyone associated with the subject, the house, and every piece of his life. There's also subject interviews, relations conducted in San Diego, pursuant to our ongoing investigation. So, as the judge noted, this is a coast-to-coast investigation being led right here in Washington, D.C. And this subject definitely did pick the wrong country. And we will rise together as a nation to show the world what we do here. And we are thankful that we have the Attorney General's brave leadership and President Trump's brave leadership and priorities to safeguard our communities. I also spoke to Director of the CIA, John Ratcliffe, last night, and Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. There is confirmation now that the subject had a relationship in Afghanistan with partner forces. We are fully investigating that aspect of his background as well, to include any known associates that are either overseas or here in the United States of America. That is what a broad-based international terrorism investigation looks like. We will provide continuous details to the American public while at the same time not jeopardizing the ongoing prosecution to ultimately hold this perpetrator accountable in our courts of law. We will provide as much transparency as possible, but as you can see, the breadth and scope of this investigation will continue. We will continue to hit the streets and hit every town and every house and talk to every witness. The men and women of the FBI and the Metropolitan Police Department and the interagency, to include the Department of Homeland Security, DEA, and ATF, are working tirelessly on this Thanksgiving Day. And I know just by talking to the leaders behind me that instead of going on and being with their families, everyone rogered up and showed up to work today. And none of them want to go home. That's the resolve that we have together as a team to bring to you justice for this heinous act of terrorism here in our nation's capital. And as the judge said, we will ensure that our law enforcement partners are out there in full force to make sure the world can enjoy our nation's capital. We will not let this heinous act of violence prevent people from visiting our beautiful nation's capital. And we will also continue to highlight any evidence that we can publicly. And as the judge said, this individual is in this country for one reason and one reason alone, because of the disastrous withdrawal from the Biden administration and the failure to vet in any way, shape, or form, this individual and countless others. And this administration has taken the rightful step to stop any further allowance of people with this similar background into the country. And we're thankful for that. And as I said, this investigation remains ongoing. And I think I'll turn it over to General Blanchard of the National Guard now. Thank you.
All across America this morning, families are waking up. They'll spend the day with their children, their brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, friends from across the community. There will be the smell of turkey, all the fixings. They'll watch parades, football games. They'll pray together. They'll talk about what they're grateful for. This morning, there are two families that will not have that opportunity. Andy and Sarah's families, they're spending the day reflecting on the past. And in the days coming, they'll reflect on and think about what could have been, what might be. Because regardless of the outcome, we know that their lives, their families' lives are all changed forever. Because one person decided to do this horrific and evil thing. And all across America, we are also reminded that there are many law enforcement agents, first responders, soldiers, service members all around the world who at best will come home, eat some cold turkey, open up Tupperware, eat what's left over, because they spent the day defending the American ideals, getting out there and getting after it on every American citizen's behalf. I will say that the District of Columbia National Guard, this task force, is more committed this morning to the president's directive to make D.C. safe and beautiful. Our resolve will be tested. It is being tested, but make no mistake, each and every one of these soldiers and airmen will meet and exceed the expectation that we have for them. They are, in fact, America's best. I'm proud of each and every one of them. I pray for each and every one of them today, and in particular, for these two young service members who are willing to go above and beyond and pay whatever price our nation asks of them. I ask every American today to keep them in their thoughts and prayers as you go about your day. Thank you.
Thank you, General. Mayor, where's Mayor Bowser? Yeah.
Thank you, Judge. I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C., and I want to associate myself with the remarks of our Adjutant General from the D.C. National Guard. I want to be very clear what the judge and everyone has reported here. Somebody drove across the country, came to Washington, D.C. to attack America. And that person will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. These young people should be at home in West Virginia with their families.
ATF, anybody? DHS? Anyone? Okay. I also want to say that both Sarah and Andrew, I believe, were sworn in less than 24 hours before they were shot on the street in Washington. Any questions?
Could you drill down on a possible motive? Have you gotten any information and intelligence on a possible motive?
You know, as the directors indicated, this is a fluid investigation. People are working around the clock. It's too soon to say what the motive is, but there are definitely areas that we're looking into, but not ready to say.
Can you characterize a little bit about how the assailant was taken down after he opened fire?
Yeah, he got shot.
By another guard?
By another guardsman, yeah.
You mentioned earlier that he had the shooter had initially shot one of the guardsmen, then leaned over as they were on
shot him again.
Shot again.
Yep.
How many shots are we?
Well, the specific number. Look, he had a .357 Smith & Wesson revolver. Okay, so I believe that's a 6-shooter. Yeah. So you know that kind of tells us how many shots he had. Yes.
Judge, you mentioned we've been here before because we have. It was May when we were last here.
Yeah.
I want to ask if you could please comment to, obviously, we understand that you're saying this is under the Biden administration, and the words are that it was a failed withdrawal, and what happened there. There are people who are also upset with the president believing that the National Guard members should not even have been there if it were not for the executive order.
I don't even want to talk about whether they should have been there. We ought to kiss the ground and thank God that the president said it's time to bring in more law enforcement to make sure that a city that had the 4th highest homicide rate in the country was that violence was quelled. I'm not even going to go there.
A question for Director Patel. Was the suspect granted asylum, and if so, when did that happen, under which administration, and did authorities miss any signs, either in the asylum process or even back when he reportedly worked for the CIA? If you could talk about that.
Well, you miss all the signs when you do absolutely zero vetting. And that's exactly what happened in this case. When you, in the prior administration, made the decision to allow thousands of people into this country without doing a single piece of background checking or vetting, that's how you miss every single sign. And Secretary Kristi Noem has put out details specifically related to your other questions, so I'll let that speak for themselves.
Specificity of when he was granted, if or when he was granted asylum, if you could just clarify that timeline. And
Yes, I believe Kristi Noem put that out, and that's a DHS matter, and I'll refer it to them.
Could you elaborate on the investigative steps that were taken in
Sure.
San Diego? You mentioned Bellingham, Washington,
Sure.
where you live, but could you explain the San Diego connection?
So what happened was, thanks to the quick investigation by the interagency and the FBI, we were able to track down his last known residence, working with the United States Attorney's offices here and at the Department of Justice and prosecutors across the country. We were able to serve search warrants literally overnight and through the night.
All night.
And we were able to hit the house in Washington State. During that process, we seized numerous electronic devices to include cell phones, laptops, iPads, and other material that is being analyzed as we speak. Pursuant to that investigation and any known associates of the subject and of that house is how we ended up in San Diego, where interviews were conducted and are going to be continued to be conducted. And we will go anywhere in the country or the world where the evidence leads us.
Are there accomplices, relationships in San Diego you can talk about?
All of that is an ongoing investigation.
Can anyone give an update as far as Sarah and Andrew who were injured? You said critical condition. Can you give anything beyond that? Are they expected to make it? Is it touch and go? Can you tell us a little more about how they're doing?
And the full spelling of their names, please.
It is Sarah Beckstrom, Beckstrom, and Andrew Wolfe with an E, Wolfe. Okay, and Sarah Beckstrom.
How do you spell Sarah?
Oh, S with an H. Okay. Now, with respect to their medical condition, as I said, they are receiving the finest medical care. Their families are with them now. They are critical. I think you understand the meaning of that. It's not clear, how this is going to end up. But let me be perfectly clear about how it will end up in this office. If one of them is to pass, and God forbid that happens, this is a murder one, period, end of the story. We are praying on a day like today when families come together in America and they hold hands around the Thanksgiving table. I beg you, I beseech you to pray for these two young people that they survive. Okay, I think that's it. Yeah.
Gabbard said that
Thank you,
he was
everybody.
a radical Islamist Afghan terrorist.
Yeah, we're not going there.
Do you have
We're not going there.
information on how he might have gotten radical?
No. Thank you.
The decision not to charge him as a terrorist?
What about the asylum process that led him to get asylum?
All right, so that was just an update that just wrapped up a press conference from D.C. officials, federal officials, Jeanine Pirro, Kash Patel, the FBI director, on that suspect and that shooting involving those two National Guardsmen shot. They're in critical condition right now. They described the suspect as being from Washington State and driving to D.C. and basically, calling this an act of terror. Again, we are still getting reports in and still following up on the story. And as soon as we get additional details on the suspect and more about what happened, we'll continue to bring it to you here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. All right, let's head to break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. So Pope Leo is in the Middle East on his first international trip of his papacy, urging peace and hoping to help the Catholic Church heal centuries of old divisions with other religions and denominations. That's on NBC's website. But again, Pope Leo in Turkey today, speaking with folks there. In case you missed it, let's take you there to Pope Leo's speech.
Mr. President, distinguished authorities, members of the diplomatic corps, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your kind welcome. I am pleased to begin the apostolic journeys of my pontificate with a visit to your country, for this land is inextricably linked to the origins of Christianity, and today it beckons the children of Abraham and all humanity to a fraternity that recognizes and appreciates differences. The natural beauty of your country urges us to protect God's creation. Moreover, the cultural, artistic, and spiritual richness of the places you inhabit reminds us that when different generations, traditions, and ideas meet, great civilizations are forged in which development and wisdom are drawn together into a unity. On the one hand, it is true that human history has centuries of conflict behind it, and that the world around us is still destabilized by ambitions and choices that trample on justice and peace. At the same time, when faced with challenges, being a people with such a great past is both a gift and a responsibility. The image of the bridge over the Dardanelles Strait, chosen as the logo for my journey, eloquently expresses your country's special role. You have an important place in both the present and future of the Mediterranean and of the whole world, above all, by valuing your internal diversity. Even before linking Asia with Europe, East with West, this bridge connects Turkey to itself. It combines different parts of the country, making it from within, as it were, crossroads of sensibilities. In such a case, uniformity would be an impoverishment. Indeed, a society is alive if it has a plurality, for what makes it a civil society are the bridges that link its people together. Yet today, human communities are increasingly polarized and torn apart by extreme positions that fragment them. I willingly assure you that Christians desire to contribute positively to the unity of your country. They are and feel part of Turkish identity, which was highly esteemed by St. John the 23rd, whom you remember as the Turkish Pope, for the deep friendship that always bound him to your people. He was administrator of the Latin Vicariate of Istanbul and apostolic delegate in Turkey and Greece from 1935 to 1945, and worked tirelessly to ensure that Catholics did not exclude themselves from the ongoing development of your new republic. He wrote during those years that here in this nation, quote, "We Latin Catholics of Istanbul and Catholics of other rites, Armenian, Greek, Chaldean, Syrian, etc., are a modest minority living on the surface of a vast world with which we have only limited contact. We like to distinguish ourselves from those who do not profess our faith. Our Orthodox brothers, Protestants, Jews, Muslims, believers and non-believers of other religions, it seems logical that everyone should mind their own business, their own family or national traditions, keeping within the limited circle of their own community. My dear brothers and sisters, my dear children, I must tell you that in the light of the gospel and of Catholic principles, this is a false logic. End of quote. Since then, great strides have undoubtedly been made within the Church and in your society, yet those words still resonate strongly in our day and continue to inspire a more evangelical and genuine way of thinking, which Pope Francis called the culture of encounter. Indeed, from the very heart of the Mediterranean, my venerable predecessor opposed the globalization of indifference by inviting us to feel the pain of others and to listen to the cry of the poor and of the earth. He thus encouraged us to compassionate action, which is a reflection of the one God who is merciful and compassionate, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love. The image of your great bridge is also helpful in this sense, for God, in revealing himself, established a bridge between heaven and earth. He did so in order that our hearts might change, becoming like his. It is a vast suspension bridge, almost defying the laws of physics. Likewise, in addition to its intimate and private aspects, love too has a visible and public dimension. Furthermore, justice and mercy challenge the mentality of might is right, and dare to ask that compassion and solidarity be considered as the authentic criteria for development. For this reason, in a society like the one here in Turkey, where religion plays a visible role, it is essential to honor the dignity and freedom of all God's children, both men and women, fellow nationals and foreigners, poor and rich. We are all children of God, and this has personal, social, and political implications. Those with hearts docile to the will of God always promote the common good and respect for all. Today, this is a great challenge, which must reshape local policies and international relations, especially in the face of technological developments that could otherwise exacerbate injustice instead of helping to overcome it. Even artificial intelligence simply reproduces our own preferences and accelerates processes that, on closer inspection, are not the work of machines, but of humanity itself. Let us work together, therefore, to change the trajectory of development and repair the damage already done to the unity of our human family. Ladies and gentlemen, I just mentioned the human family. This metaphor invites us to establish a connection, once again, a bridge between our common destiny and the experiences of each individual. Indeed, for each one of us, the family was the first nucleus of social life, in which we learned that without the other, there is no I. More so than in other countries, the family retains great importance in Turkish culture, and there is no shortage of initiatives to support its centrality. Indeed, attitudes essential for civil coexistence, plus the initial and fundamental sensitivity to the common good, mature precisely within the family. Of course, every family can also close in on itself, cultivate hostility, or prevent some of its members from expressing themselves to the point of hindering the development of their talents. Nevertheless, people do not obtain greater opportunities or happiness from an individualistic culture, nor by showing contempt for marriage or shunning openness to life. Moreover, consumerist economies are deceptive in that loneliness becomes a business. We should respond to this with a culture that appreciates affection and personal connection. For it is only together that we can become our authentic selves. Only through love does our inner life become profound and our identity strong. Those who scorn fundamental human ties and fail to learn how to bear even their limitations and fragility more easily become intolerant and incapable of interacting with our complex world. At the same time, it is within family life that the value of conjugal love and the contribution of women emerge in a very specific way. Women in particular, through their studies and active participation in professional, cultural, and political life, are increasingly placing themselves at the service of your community and its positive influence on the international scene. We must greatly value, then, the important initiatives in this regard, which support the family and the contribution that women make toward the full flowering of social life. Mr. President, may Turkey be a source of stability and rapprochement between peoples, in service of a just and lasting peace. The visits to Turkey by 4 popes, Paul VI in 1967, John Paul II in 1979, Benedict XVI in 2006, and Francis in 2014 show that the Holy See not only maintains good relations with the Republic of Turkey, but also desires to cooperate in building a better world with the contribution of this country, which is a bridge between East and West, between Asia and Europe, and a crossroads of cultures and religions. The particular occasion of my own visit, the 1700th anniversary of the Council of Nicaea, speaks to us of encounter and dialogue, as does the fact that the first 8 ecumenical councils were held in the lands of present-day Turkey. Today, more than ever, we need people who will promote dialogue and practice it with firm will and patient resolve. In the aftermath of the tragedies of 2 world wars, which saw the building of large international organizations, we are now experiencing a phase marked by heightened level of conflict on the global level, fueled by prevailing strategies of economic and military power. This is enabling what Pope Francis called a third world war fought piecemeal. We must in no way give in to this. The future of humanity is at stake. The energies and resources absorbed by this destructive dynamic are being diverted from the real challenges that the human family should instead be facing together today, namely peace, the fight against hunger and poverty, health and education, and the protection of creation. The Holy See, with only its spiritual and moral strength, wishes to cooperate with all nations that have at heart the integral development of each and every person. Let us walk together then, in truth and in friendship, humbly trusting in the help of God. Thank you.
Değerli konuklarımız, özel programımız sona ermiştir. Arz ederiz.
Ladies and gentlemen, this marks the end of our special program. Thank you very much.
All right, so that is a speech from earlier from Pope Leo XIV, again, making his first international trip there in the Middle East, there in Turkey. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for rolling with us this morning here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I hope you are enjoying all the morning festivities. And obviously one of those traditions, now a new tradition, is watching Live Impact News on Thanksgiving. What about that? All right. Thank you, guys. That's a great tradition. So we want to send you now to the White House. So this week, and this is an annual thing. I'm sure you've heard about it. The turkey pardon. It's an annual thing. I know governors do it, but we see it at the White House. So earlier this week, President Trump pardoned 2 turkeys. In case you missed it, let's take you back there.
Thank you very much, and I hope you like our new beautiful patio with matching stone to the White House. If this were grass today, you'd be sinking into the mud like they've done for many years. You would be very unhappy. Please, thank you very much. This was a big day. It's a pardon day for a very important beast. On behalf of the First Lady and the entire Trump family, I want to wish all Americans a very, very happy Thanksgiving. It's a great time of the year, and our country is doing really well, economically like we've never done before. Today, we continue a time-honored American tradition. Well, that's a well-trained turkey. See how happy he is? In a few moments, I will grant a full, absolute, and unconditional presidential pardon to 2 handsome Thanksgiving turkeys, and this is their lucky day. This is a lucky day for them. But before going any further, I want to make an important announcement, because you remember last year, after a thorough and very rigorous investigation by Pam Bondi and all of the people at the Department of Justice, the FBI, the CIA, the White House Counsel's Office, and the Department of Everything. We have a Department of Everything. You know what that is? I think that's called the White House. Into a terrible situation caused by a man named Sleepy Joe Biden. He used an auto pen last year for the turkey's pardon. So I have the official duty to determine, and I have determined that last year's turkey pardons are totally invalid. As are the pardons of about every other person that was pardoned other than, where's Hunter? No, Hunter's was good. That was the one pardon, Pam, that was good, right? The rest of them are all invalid. I don't know what the hell you're going to do about that, but that's, now we're going to take a little of the joking. That is a mess. But they're hereby null and void. The turkeys known as Peach and Blossom last year have been located, and they were on their way to be processed. In other words, to be killed. But I've stopped that journey, and I am officially pardoning them, and they will not be served for Thanksgiving dinner. We saved them in the nick of time. This one has plenty of time, but they were saved in the nick of time. We're thrilled to be joined today by Vice President J.D. Vance, Second Lady Usha Vance, their daughter Mirabelle, and along with Attorney General Pam Bondi, Secretaries Marco Rubio, Scott Bassett, Pete Hegseth, Brooke Rollins, Howard Lutnick, Linda McMahon, Scott Turner, Administrator Lee Zeldin, who's done a great job. A nuclear power plant gets approved in less than a week. Okay? I'm only kidding, but pretty close to that. And we have more. Where's Lee? Stand up, Lee. One of my great superstars. Thank you. It used to take 20 years before you got rejected when you put in an application. Now we're doing them in a matter of weeks, right? And that's why we have the biggest plants anywhere in the world. We're leading in AI, we're leading in everything. Our auto plants are pouring back into our country. Where do you see the jobs coming with them? But many of them are under construction, but Lee's done a great job in getting those approvals. I appreciate it very much. FBI Director Kash Patel has been very busy doing a great job. Also, thank you, Kash. Along with members of, see, you got a follower, Kash. Along with members of Congress, and in particular, I want to mention Jason Smith and David Rozier. Where are those 2 guys? Come on, stand up, fellas. What good people. Jason knows more about the tax code than any living human being. He knows so much, we don't even want to hear about it, right? Too complicated. We're going to make it a simpler code. What we did in the Great Big Beautiful Bill was just passed. Your imprints all over that, and it's amazing. The biggest tax cuts in the history of our country for middle-income people. The biggest tax cuts in the history of our country for middle-income people, and the biggest jobs bill ever passed. And nobody thought we could get that one done. I'm glad. And we actually put 4 years, actually probably 8 or 10 years, but we put 4 years worth of material into one great big beautiful bill. So that worked out very well, and I want to thank everybody for working on it. JD, that was a great, you know, we were going to do it in small bills. We're going to have 18 bills and do it along the process. I'm glad, Scott, that we got it done. Because dealing with these Democrats, I think that was our one shot. But we have it all in one great big beautiful bill. Thanks as well to the chairman of the National Turkey Federation and the CEO of Butterball. That's a big deal. Jay Jandren. Where's Jay? Thank you. Stand up, Jay. Thank you very much. Along with his wife Leslie and their 3 children, as well as the farmer who raised these 2 magnificent birds, Travis Pittman and Wayne County, North Carolina. I won Wayne County by a lot. That means you had to vote for Trump, I think. I won by 92%. I like Wayne County. They're doing all right, right? And this is like a record-setting turkey that's going to be saved. The turkeys being pardoned today go by the names of Gobble and Waddle. When I first saw their pictures, I thought we should send them, well, I shouldn't say this. I was going to call them Chuck and Nancy. But then I realized I wouldn't be pardoning them. I would never pardon those 2 people. I wouldn't pardon them. I wouldn't care what Melania told me. Darling, I think it would be a nice thing to do. I won't do it, darling. These are 2 of the largest turkeys ever presented to an American president, over 50 pounds each. It's the largest we've ever had. And those are big turkeys. Are they as good as the normal-sized turkey? Better or as good? Do they tend to be a little fatty, maybe? No, he said no. He knows the turkey business. Anyway, despite their size, Secretary Kennedy has formally certified that these are the first ever Maha turkeys. I don't know if I agree with that. These are Maha. In other words, they could be fat, but they're still Maha. They've been fattened on a steady diet of grass, beef, to allow the smoothies and all of the other things that they've been eating for this occasion. This was a really big occasion. But they've eaten every fattening food that you can eat. We wanted to really make them special, and they really are. They're like record-setting. I've never seen a turkey that big before. Are they violent at all? Will they attack as I walk over? Because if they were, I'll stay right up here. But as you know, we're a tough on crime administration. We are tough on crime. You know, our border had 0 people coming in for the last 7 months, right? 0. I mean, even I find that hard to believe to me. They had millions and millions of people pour into our border, from prisons, from mental institutions, gang members, drug dealers. They poured in to our country like we were stupid people. We're not stupid people anymore. But nobody's ever seen anything. The job that they've done on the Tom Homan, Kristi Noem, the whole group, the job they've done on the border is almost like a miracle. We have, and the people that make these statistics have said 0. They've said 0 for the last 7 months. It has to be like a few people got in, but they say 0. And they're radical left Democrats to do the scoring. So I can't imagine they did that for us. The truth is, we have no people coming into our country illegally. It's an amazing statistic, and I'm very proud of it. And we have the most people working in the United States today, by far, than we ever had in the history of our country. So those are all good numbers. But instead of pardoning, some of my more enthusiastic staffers were already drafting the paperwork to ship Gobble and Waddle straight to the terrorist confinement center in El Salvador. And even those birds don't want to be there. You know what I mean? It was a tough. I'd like to thank the president of that country. They do a rather efficient job. It's going to be the largest prison in history. I've never seen anything like it. And a lot of people are behaving on the streets now. You know, Washington, D.C. is considered a safe zone. This was one of our most unsafe places anywhere in the United States. It is now considered a totally safe city. I won't tell you about murders. We're having murders, like a lot of murders, on a weekly basis. We haven't had a murder in 6 months. And it doesn't sound good even to say that. We haven't had a murder in 6 months. But when you are averaging 1 and even sometimes 2 a week, and you haven't had one in 6 months, you can walk with your family down the middle of any street, go to a restaurant, you won't get in. They're opening new restaurants all over, and it's really been a beautiful thing to see. So Washington, D.C. is now a totally safe city, and a year ago it was a criminal mess. We removed, Pam, 1,700 people, career criminals, and people that came to this city from Venezuela and many other places. They were let out of prisons and they came here. There were Tren de Aragua, a lot of Tren de Aragua, that's from Venezuela. And we got them all the hell out of our country, or they're in prisons now. And you can walk down any street in Washington and you're going to be just fine. And I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank Pete Hegseth. The job you've done here is incredible. And I hear you having the same kind of success in Memphis, Tennessee. We had an even worse situation. And Memphis crime is down 64% in 3 weeks. And by the time you have 4 or 5 weeks, you're going to have it down almost where there won't be crime. And we could do that in Chicago, by the way, if they would let us. If the mayor was a low IQ person, but he should understand this is a very serious thing. You saw all the crime that took place last night, the night before. The woman with the burning, they burned the woman. They'll be talking about that now. They burned this beautiful woman riding in a train. A man was arrested 72 times. 72 times, think of that. And they'll let him out again. The liberal judges will let him out again. But we're ready to go. You know, we've been moving toward Chicago. We have a governor that thinks it's wonderful that only like 7 people were killed this week. But we are moving toward doing it. We're gonna, if crime gets, it's horrible what's happening in Chicago. We could make Chicago a safe city in a period of 4 weeks. In a period of 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks, it would be totally safe. And the people of Chicago want us to go there. And if you look at the crime that's taken place in Chicago in the last 2 weeks, just take a look. It's on the front page of every newspaper. It's out of control. The mayor is incompetent, and the governor is a big fat slob. You ought to invite us in, say, please make Chicago safe. We're going to lose a great city if we don't do it quickly. Make Chicago. We'll do the same thing as we did in D.C., the same thing as we did everywhere we've gone. It's become almost instantly safe. And I want to do it in Chicago. So Governor Pritzker, if you're listening, let's get your act together. Invite us in. We're going to make your place so safe. You're not going to have these crimes that are making the newspapers and the front page of every newspaper, television story, news story. We'll make Chicago a safe place very quickly. I looked at the various cases, granting mercy, discovering that the terrible trauma that everyone's going through. And I had a little bit of a Pritzker joke. I was going to talk about Pritzker and size, but when I talk about Pritzker, I get angry because he's not letting us do the job. So I'm not going to tell my Pritzker joke. They have a very cute little joke, you know. Some speechwriter wrote some joke about his weight. But I would never want to talk about his weight. I don't talk about people being fat. I refuse to talk about the fact that he's a fat slob. I don't mention it. On a more serious note, as we gather around the dinner table, I'd like to lose a few pounds too, by the way. And I'm not going to lose it on Thanksgiving, I can tell you that. Because I'm going to have a turkey, but it's not going to be that one. I hope all Americans will have the chance to enjoy the fellowship of family and friends and renew our faith in God's providence. 1 year ago, we were a dead country 1 year ago. The King of Saudi Arabia said it to me. He said it to me actually 4 months ago when I was in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE. He said, 1 year ago, the United States was a dead country, and now you've got the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the hottest country. We have $18 trillion being invested as of now. We're not even close to being 1 year. The most ever was $2 trillion for a certain country I won't name during the last administration. In 4 years, they had less than $1 trillion being invested in the country. In 9 months, we have over $18 trillion. It's a number that nobody has ever even thought possible. And that's in building plants and building so many things, investments in our country. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. But we have more people working. We have more people praying. The churches are coming back. I don't know if you've been reading that story, but religion is coming back to America. Some people say, why would you mention that? To me, that's a big deal. And this Thanksgiving, we're also making incredible strides to make America affordable again. Walmart announced that the cost of their standard Thanksgiving meal is 25% lower than just 1 year ago. That's a big deal. According to the USDA, the price of Thanksgiving turkey is down 33% from its Biden era highs. Potatoes are down 13%. Ham is down 15% compared to last Thanksgiving. So we are down to a level that we haven't seen in a long time. Egg prices are down 86% since March, and gasoline will soon be hovering around $2 a gallon. Under our leadership, we passed the largest tax cuts in history, the largest spending cuts in history, the largest regulation cuts in history, and we have fully secured our southern border. I've also ended 8 wars in 9 months, and we're working on that final war. It's not easy, but I don't know. I think we're gonna get there. 25,000 soldiers, Ukraine, Russia. In the last month, 25,000 soldiers have died. So I think we're getting very close to a deal. We'll find out. I thought that one would have been gone quicker. We did 8. I thought that would have been an easier one, but I think we're making progress. In less than 1 year, we've accomplished more than most other administrations have accomplished in 8 years. And this is a very special Thanksgiving. We thank God for His many blessings and the great success that this country has seen in this short period of time. We draw strength from the love of family and friends, and we express our undying gratitude for the men and the women of the United States Armed Forces. We love them. We pray that peace and prosperity will continue to bless our land, and together we'll really just keep this great drive going to make America great again. MAGA, I think it's the greatest expression in the history of politics. Make America great again. So once again, Melania, thank you for doing such a great job and being such a great First Lady. And now let's go and give Waddle. Waddle, by the way, is missing in action, but that's okay. We'll pretend Waddle's here. The gift that they've been waiting for. And I'll move over and I will just say very nicely, Gobble, your pardon. Come on, let's say it in front of Gobble. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, so that is President Trump earlier this week pardoning 2 turkeys there at the White House, an annual tradition there. All right, so we are going to take a step aside and head to break on this Thanksgiving Day. Again, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for joining us here on Live Impact News. Again, we'll be back here in 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Thank you for joining us here on Live Impact News on this Thanksgiving Day. All right, so we want to go now to Vice President J.D. Vance. He was at Fort Campbell yesterday, serving troops, visiting troops ahead of the Thanksgiving Day holiday. He actually spoke to the folks there at Fort Campbell. This is in Kentucky. Let's take a listen in case you missed it.
Thanksgiving with their families instead of losing their lives, because I understand they're still in pretty tough condition. But I think it's a somber reminder that soldiers, whether they're active duty, reserve, or National Guard, our soldiers are the sword and the shield of the United States of America. And as a person who goes into work every single day in that building and knows that there are a lot of people who wear the uniform of the United States Army, let me just say very personally, thank them for what they're doing. We're grateful to them, and we're praying that they're going to be safe and they're going to spend Thanksgiving with their families. God bless them. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the business of the Army and about what you're doing and about why it's important to the United States of America and why we are proud of you, every single one of our soldiers here in Fort Campbell and all across the world. We have got some incredible guests here to honor this moment, to honor you, to say thanks to so many of you for spending time away from your families here this day before Thanksgiving. And I want to give just a few shout outs to some of our special guests before we get started. First of all, to General Travis McIntosh and Command Sergeant Major Charles Walker, thank you guys for leading this incredible facility, and thank you for serving in the United States Army and making us proud. Where are you guys? Please stand up and be recognized. Thank you all. We've got my dear friend Senator Marsha Blackburn. Marsha, please stand up and say hello. And we also have Congressman Rose. Where is Congressman Rose? Please stand up. Thank you, Congressman. It's good to see you. Now, I've got to, of course, thank my dear friend Bob Ritchie. You better know him as Kid Rock. But I want to say to my staff, I gave them one instruction, and that's that I don't have to follow a literal rock star before I give a speech. And they screwed that up the day before Thanksgiving, so every single one of them are fired. But thank you to Bob Ritchie, Kid Rock, because he's not just a great musician, he's not just a great American, he is a person who loves the soldiers of the United States Army, and we are proud and grateful for Kid Rock for being here today. I want to take another few moments and just say thanks to Major Josh Wilcox, Master Sergeant Aaron Duhacek, Mr. Jim Parks, Major Rob Wright, and every single soldier who made it possible for me to come and visit. Now, I won't say that the weather is cooperating because it's windy as hell and it is cold, man. It is cold up here. My staff told me to wear a jacket, and I said, now just be fine. And here I am 2 minutes in, wishing that I had listened because it is really freezing cold up here. But we're gonna have a little fun despite that because we are here to celebrate not just the United States Army, we're here to celebrate each and every one of you. And I know we've got some units here at Fort Campbell, and I want to give a shout out to each of the great units. So if you are with the 101st Airborne Screaming Eagles, let me hear you a little bit. Where's the 101st Airborne? That was pretty damn good. It was pretty damn good. Let me say that the 101st Airborne is one of the proudest units in the entire United States Army for all warfighters everywhere. Everybody knows the prestige, everybody knows the professionalism, and everybody knows the greatness of the 101st Airborne. So when the nation calls on the 101st Airborne, you all execute, you make us proud, you kick the enemy's ass, and you come home safely, and that's exactly what we want our soldiers to do. We are honored. Somebody said, I agree. Thank you. I appreciate that endorsement. We're also honored to be here to welcome the men and women from the Strike and Destiny Brigades who just finished deployments in Europe and the Middle East. We're the Strike and Destiny Brigades. I want to say to those of you who are here for the first time back home in a few months, we're proud of you, we're grateful to you, and from the Vice President of the United States, welcome home. We also want to recognize the Legionnaires. Where we got some Legionnaires at? Like 5 or 6. We got some Legionnaires. How about the Night Stalkers of the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment? We got some Night Stalkers out here? A few? Like 3. They're all working right now. And I also want to give a shout out to the 52nd Ordnance Group, members of the 2nd Battalion, 44th Air Defense Artillery, the men and women who run the elite training schools here, and many, many more soldiers who make this one of the proudest military installations anywhere in the United States Army. And I want to tell you, just give you a message from the President of the United States. I know he couldn't be here, but the President is proud of our soldiers, and he's proud of every single one of you. So from the President of the United States, he just wanted to make sure that you knew he wished you a happy Thanksgiving, and he's grateful for all you do. Now, I'm proud and happy to serve with a lot of very good people. And one of them is my dear friend Dan Driscoll, who's the Secretary of the Army. Dan is doing a great job, and I also want to give a shout out to our incredible Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. I think he's doing an amazing job. And you know, Pete gave a speech at Quantico, which is a Marine base, don't hold it against us, but he gave a speech in Quantico a few months ago that I think is one of the best speeches that I've heard about the United States military, because he was talking about the incredible esprit de corps, and he was talking about the importance of holding the United States Army and all of our branches of the military to the very highest possible standards. And I listened to this speech, and I'm thinking as I'm watching this speech, man, Pete, this is a hell of a speech. This guy is one amazing orator, and he was talking about the importance of military standards. He said, and I'm going to quote here from his speech, "The new War Department golden rule is this: do unto your unit as you would have done unto your own child's unit? Would you want him serving with fat or unfit or undertrained troops or alongside people who can't meet basic standards? He was talking about the importance of bringing the highest standards possible to the United States Army. And I hear Pete saying that, and I'm like, hell yeah. That's exactly what we want out of the United States Army. I see a lot of you nodding your heads. And then he talks about the importance of this job and why we have to have the very best people doing this job. He says because this job is life or death, standards must be met. And not just met at every level. We should seek to exceed the standard, to push the envelope, to compete. And this means that the War Department, first and foremost, we must restore a ruthless, dispassionate, and common sense application of standards. And I'm like, man, this is awesome. We're talking about bringing the highest standards in the world to the very best United States Army. I'm ready to run through a wall with this guy. And then Pete goes, no more beardos. I'm like, what the hell is that all about? He's talking about me. And I said to Pete afterwards, I was like, man, you had me. This whole speech was amazing. But you know what? The point is here that we believe in you so much. We believe in your mission so much that we know that you guys can meet the highest standards in the world. And when you look to your left and to your right, we want you to know that you're serving with the very best and the very brightest this nation has to offer. Before I came over here, I was at the chow hall, and we got to serve some food to the soldiers there. And I was talking afterwards, just sharing a meal with a few of the soldiers. And a guy said to me something really interesting. He said that 250 years ago, when the Army started, there was a Prussian military leader who came over and helped train the very first United States Army. Because, of course, back then, we didn't have very many military experts in our country. We were still in our infancy. And what he said was very fascinating. I think the guy's name, he said, was von Steuben. Von Steuben said that it was only the Americans who just didn't need an order, but also needed to be told why they were doing what they were doing. And I thought that was a fascinating insight to the soldiers of 250 years ago and a fascinating insight to the soldiers of today. We don't just want people who mindlessly follow orders. We want people who think, because we know that the most powerful weapon in the United States arsenal, the most powerful weapon anywhere in the world, it's not a rifle, it's not a tank, it's not a helicopter or an airplane. The most dangerous and lethal weapon anywhere in the world is a United States soldier, and we're proud of you, and we're going to stand behind you every step of the way. And with that basic mindset of not just telling you what we need you to do, but why we need you to do it, I think you all should expect from your military leadership, from the president on down, you should expect us to explain what it is that we're doing and why we care so much about it. Why do we care so much about high standards? Not just because we think that standards got a little lax in the last administration. We care about high standards because if, God forbid, the President of the United States asks you to go to war, we want to make sure that the people that you're fighting with are the very best. We owe it to your moms and dads, your grandmas and grandpas, to only send the very best people off to foreign conflicts, and that is why we care so much about standards. You've heard our Secretary of the Army, our Secretary of War. You've heard the President of the United States. If you've listened to anything that they've said over the last few months, they talk a lot about preparing the Army and the whole military for the age of modern warfare, because it's changed a lot. We've got drones now, we've got cyber warfare, we've got satellites in space that are as important to the modern warfighter as anything, as any rifle or tank or airplane was 20 or 30 years ago. Now, yeah, of course, we still got a lot of tanks, we still got a lot of rifles, we still got a lot of the things that we've always had, but in this new generation of warfare, we need to give you the technology and the training to be the very best. And we know that you are the very best, but part of training you to be the very best is to make sure that you have the ability to use the modern weapons of warfare better than anybody else. When we look at the battlefield of the future, when we look at the next war, God forbid, if we're called on to fight it, it is going to be, if anything, a war up here as much as any other conflict in the history of the world. If you look at what's going on in Russia or Ukraine, or you look at what's going on in some of our counterterrorism missions, or you look at what could happen in the future in the next military conflict, it's not going to be the war that we fought 20 years ago. It's going to be a much different war. And one of the things I want every single one of you to know is that the President of the United States has given us a very simple mission, that we have got to equip you with the resources, with the training, and with the equipment to win the battle of the future. Now, I happen to believe that one of the mistakes that we made in this country, and let's be honest, it wasn't just Democrats, it was Democrats and Republicans, is that we were far too willing to send the bravest people in the world, our best natural resource, you all, the young people who put on a military uniform and are willing to fight and die for their fellow countrymen. We were too willing to send you off to battle without a clear mission, a clear definition of what you were supposed to accomplish. That was the mistake of Democrats and Republicans. It is the great stain on the political leadership of this country that we had the best troops in the world, and very often we went and sent you off to battle without a clear mission. And that is something this president and this administration is never going to do. If we ask you to go off and do something, if we ask our soldiers to risk their lives to defend their countries, what I promise you is that we're only going to do it with a clear mission and clear guidelines. And we're going to give you the tools necessary, we're going to give you the resources necessary, and we're going to empower you to do a very simple thing, which is kick the enemy's ass and come home safely. That's what the United States wants from its soldiers, and that's what the President of the United States asks of each and every one of you. It's not that hard, but that's what you should demand of your political leadership. Just as you follow orders of the President of the United States, this President stands by you. And if he asks you to do something hard, it's only going to be for a very good reason. You know, one of the things that I love about Thanksgiving, it's probably my favorite American holiday. If you think about all the holidays that we celebrate, Thanksgiving is the most uniquely American holiday. You know, Christmas, of course, the birth of Jesus, all of these other holidays, they're very important. And I love Christmas as much as anybody. I've got 3 little kids. But Christmas is a holiday that 1.8 billion Christians celebrate all over the world. Thanksgiving, what we celebrate tomorrow, that is a uniquely American thing. That's why, for example, we have, turkey. Think about turkey. Who really likes, be honest with yourself, who really likes turkey? You're all full of shit. Everybody who raised your hands. I know. Think about it. And here's how I know that every single one of you who raised your hand is lying to me. How many times do you roast an 18-pound turkey just randomly? Just, a nice summer afternoon, we're going to go get an 18-pound turkey. Nobody does it because turkey doesn't actually taste that good. But on Thanksgiving, on the most American holiday, I got a fan over here, on the most American holiday, we're going to cook a turkey, by God, because that's what Americans do. We cook this gigantic American bird, and we do all kinds of crazy things to make it taste good. I talked to a soldier today who she said she's going to deep fry a turkey, and I'm actually going to deep fry a turkey myself tomorrow. And look, here's the thing. If you've got to deep fry something to make it taste good, it probably isn't that good. That's a pretty good rule of thumb when it comes to food. Chicken is good all the time. Chicken is good when you deep fry it, but it's also good outside of it. But here's the thing about Thanksgiving. It is so American because at the heart of it is the spirit of gratitude. And I know that every single one of you has something tomorrow to be very thankful for and to be grateful for. And that's what I think, really separates. People ask me all the time for advice. And the only piece of advice I can ever give that I think is true for every single person in every circumstance is that the happiest people that I've ever met, the most successful people that I've ever met, they live their life with a spirit of gratitude. They recognize that they would not be there but for the grace of God and a lot of great people in their lives. And so if I may, as your vice president, that's the one piece of advice I want to give to you on this day before Thanksgiving is to live your life in the United States Army, to live your life everywhere with a spirit of gratitude, to recognize that you wouldn't be wearing that uniform were it not for somebody in your life who loved you and cared for you. That you wouldn't have this incredible opportunity to serve the United States. And yes, it's tough. And yes, it's a life of sacrifice. But I happen to believe that the life of service and sacrifice is the greatest blessing that we have in this room today. Because what an amazing country it is that takes people from all walks of life and makes them part of the same United States Army, the same sword and shield for the American people, the same organization that for 250 years has kept us safe. So tomorrow, I'm thankful for a lot. I'm thankful for my beautiful wife and our 3 beautiful kids. I'm thankful to have the opportunity to serve as Vice President of the United States of America. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful to Almighty God for the incredible blessings that He's given this country and also He's given to me personally. But one of the things at the very top of the list that I'm thankful for is the United States Army and for the people in this room. Now, I know that a lot of you are going to spend tomorrow with your friends and families, but I also know that a lot of you are not going to have that opportunity. That you've got deployments you've got to prepare for, that you're stuck on this base, you're not able to travel home because you've got to prepare for the mission. And when I think about all the many blessings that are very, very present in my life, there is nothing that compares to being the Vice President of the United States at a time like this. Vice President of all of you, Vice President of the greatest fighting force that exists anywhere in the world, the United States Army. You guys make this a happy Thanksgiving for me, because every single day you show up to work, you put on that uniform and make your nation proud. You make me proud to be your Vice President. So happy Thanksgiving, soldiers. Keep on doing what you're doing, and never forget that the most deadly weapon anywhere in the world, it's not about technology, it's not about what you're holding in your hands, it's about what's up here. You are the most dangerous weapon anywhere in the world, and America is counting on it to keep us safe. Happy Thanksgiving, soldiers. Thank you for having me. God bless you.
And happy Thanksgiving to you, everyone at home joining us here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. So on Monday, Arenas law goes into effect. So if you remember, The North Carolina General Assembly passed this law earlier this year, and this follows the murder of 23-year-old Irina Zaruska on the Charlotte Light Rail. So it has different things within this law, including it will end written promise to appear options, which many consider to be similar to cashless bail. It also will mandate that judges order mental health evaluations in certain cases, and will also expedite death penalty appeals. So recently, we spoke with Don Brown. He's a former prosecutor now running to represent North Carolina in the U.S. Senate. He says that this law is a step in the right direction. Here's a full interview.
So I want to start with, we're here in Charlotte, Irina's Law that goes into effect on Monday, of course, after an incident that happened here on our Charlotte Light Rail with Irina Zaruska. I want to know from your perspective, what do you think about this, and what are you hoping comes of this law come Monday?
Thank you so much, Julie. The law is a step in the right direction. It's aimed at preventing a revolving door policy, which what we've seen. Because for one thing, our jails and prisons are full, but it will prevent an automatic revolving door policy of putting multiple convicted offenders on the street. So that's a step in the right direction. And the other thing I think folks should remember is going to step up the requirement for psychiatric evaluation before release, which I think needs to happen. We got a big psychiatric problem out there, which is part of the criminal justice system that's going to be needed to be addressed on a broader scale. I'm happy to speak to that. But I was glad to see the General Assembly take swift action here. It's going to certainly help some, but we got a long way to go to try to get the problem rectified.
I know part of that problem, too, is just how do we pay for all this? Of course, right now we have no state budget. Mecklenburg County, the sheriff came out yesterday and said, we're going to see what we can do, but without more funding, it's going to have to come out of our county funding. So how do you think that jails already at capacity, like the one in Mecklenburg County, where should the funding come from? Should it be local governments or should it be from the state?
I think it's going to need to be a combined state and federal. But let me address this: is the same Democrat Mecklenburg County sheriff that refused to honor 1,400 ICE detainers. If he'd honored those detainers, ICE would have picked those folks up, and he would have fewer criminals on the street, and therefore the jail would not be as crowded as he is. So I don't pay a whole lot of attention to what a Democrat sheriff of Mecklenburg County says. But let me say, from a broader standpoint, there's a problem with psychiatric issues going out on the streets. I've been involved in cases as a prosecutor and also as a defense counsel. If you find somebody that cannot be prosecuted because of lack of capacity for whatever reason, you can't just, if they are dangerous, and that's the key. Not all folks who have mental issues are dangerous at all. Some are passive and soft, but if you're dangerous and you have a propensity for danger, just like this I call him an animal, somebody else chastise me for that, who murdered this poor girl, Irina, just a sweet young lady. If you've got that type, if that is truly a psychiatric issue that guy's dealing with, he's got to be off the street. And what does that mean? That means that when you look at our criminal justice system, when you go into law school, you go through criminal law and procedure, you explain that there are several objectives. There's deterrence, there's rehabilitation, there's punishment, etc. But we got to protect our folks on the street. And so we got to have long-term psychiatric facilities that can hold folks like that. If you're not going to convict this guy because you say he doesn't have capacity, if that is the case, you still have to take him off the street. So from a broader standpoint, both in the state and federally, we're going to have long-term psychiatric facilities to hold folks like that, to keep them off the street, to protect you and me and our families and others. And part of this is going to be, rearranging how we're spending some of our budgetary choices, both in the state and the federal arena. We're going to have to scramble stuff around to get the money to do what we need to do, because one of the most important roles of government, either at the state or the federal level, is to protect people and protect innocent people. And that's got to move to the top of the totem pole, in my opinion, Julie.
I'm really glad you brought up the psychiatric feds too, and just where that funding should come from in general, because I know right now everyone's budgets are a little bit tight. So I know, of course, you're announcing your run for U.S. Senate. Is that something that you would push for at the federal level? I'm going to make the argument. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to apologize for cutting you off. I'm going to make the argument
using my position as a U.S. Senator and as a candidate, sort of as a bully pulpit, as they call it, for lack of a better phrase, that this is a problem that has to be addressed both at the state level, and I'm a states' rights guy. I believe in the 10th Amendment that any power not specifically delegated to the federal government comes back to the state. So I'm not calling for federal override, but I'm saying there has to be a partnership here with the feds and with the states for long-term, what I would call criminal psychiatric facilities. What I mean by that is someone has been accused of a crime, indicted, found to have probable cause, but you can't try them for whatever reason. You can't put them on the street if the crime is violent. You just take, for example, what's going on with the federal government right now. President Trump, I think, is executed brilliantly. He's gone out to the Department of Education. I call it the Department of Indoctrination. Our state constitution requires a public education, which I think is a great thing. The federal constitution doesn't. That money should never go to the feds to come back to the states. You should stay with the states. Department of Education, eliminate it. That gives you money. Eliminate the Internal Revenue Service. At the federal level, DOGE, Julie, recommended elimination of 300 out of the approximately 400 or so federal agencies. You start eliminating these agencies, and you can reshift resources. It's kind of like if you and I, we were to go out to dinner, and we could order all kinds of expensive stuff, or we could, order from the what do you call it, the happy. I won't say that. You could order from the bar, the cheap menu, and save money. And we got to make choices both in the state at the federal level to cut in certain areas and reprioritize in other areas. And of course, education is got to be prioritized at the state level, and also public safety. And so the notion of now looking, we're going to have long-term psychiatric facilities got to be looked at both the federal and the state level, primarily at the state level, because most governing should take place at the state and not the federal level.
On that note, North Carolina specifically, like I mentioned, has no state budget. What would you like to see from Republican lawmakers here in terms of when that budget will be passed and criminal justice funding in that budget?
Well, of course, I'm not running for the General Assembly. I'm running for the United States Congress. There are members of the General Assembly that say that we are currently operating on an operating budget. People are getting paid. But what I would like to see is a reevaluation of our criminal justice system. I would like to see a lot of the fluff welfare policies cut, and that money be reallocated to criminal justice. So I'm not prepared to go through a line by line item in the state budget because I'm running for the United States Congress and not the North Carolina General Assembly. But generally, we've got to do that.
Yeah, I was just curious because this is a North Carolina state law. If you had any thoughts on what specifically you'd like to see here. In terms of your experience as a prosecutor, anything that you wanted to share else about the things that you saw that you think need to be fixed other than what this law covers?
Well, again, I think we've got to have facilities for psychiatric criminals that are harmful. I think they did a really, really good job on a short-term notice almost immediately after these horrific videos were made, nationally and internationally rebroadcast, to slow down the open door, ridiculous policy that had been in place, that had been put in basically when the Democrats were running things. We're going to have to go farther. I'm sure that Speaker Hall and other representatives like Keith Kibble and others are going to get together and continue to examine what needs to be done in the next session. But I want to see a solution for longer-term psychiatric facilities within the criminal system, so that guys like this person, has been sent off for evaluation. If somebody says, you can't try him, you can't put him back on the street. So we got to have the facilities to do that. If the General Assembly had passed a law saying they've got to be permanently incarcerated, to keep for the safety of the public, and I would agree with that, situations like this, you still got to have a place to house them. So we got to take a hard look at this on both sides of the aisle and understand that protection of folks on the street, of North Carolinians and Americans, is one of the most important and principal jobs of government, so that you and I can go Christmas shopping the day after Thanksgiving. I don't know what your Black Friday plans are. I kind of use the internet these days, but so you can go to the South Park, wherever you want to go, without fear of being attacked. And that's what the Congress and the General Assembly and Governor Stein's got to get on board. I've not been pleased with the soft on crime philosophy. He's got to get on board too. So that's what I encourage my colleagues in the General Assembly to focus on.
And then your run in general. I want to talk about why you decided to run for U.S. Senate and why you want to represent North Carolina.
Well, thank you. First of all, I love North Carolina. I've lived here pretty much all my life, except for my time in the military. The thing that I was never planning to do this, the straw that broke the camel's back. If Pete Hegseth is a friend, he's the Secretary of War. I worked with him on some major cases regarding rules of engagement coming out of the Obama administration. We worked together to persuade President Trump to pardon Lieutenant Clint Lawrence, the paratrooper who had been at Fort Bragg, prosecuted for quote-unquote murder because of a firefight that his platoon got in Afghanistan. And so Tillis, our current senior senator, Tom Tillis, was opposing some of the president's nominees. He had promised, that is, Tillis had promised that if a nominee cleared the Senate committees for appointment, that he would go along with it. Pete Hegseth cleared the Armed Services Committee. Tillis tried to torpedo that nomination, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me to challenge Senator Tillis. Senator Tillis has now dropped out of the race. I'm in the race. We have a major, dangerous problem with the national debt. We're expending money still too fast. It's come down under Republicans. We were increasing the debt almost $60,000 a second to the Democrats. Now it's about $35,000, $37,000 a second. That's still too much. And we're going to have to suck it up and reduce the size of the federal government. And the Democrats are going to whine about it. They're going to say we're taking candy. You're not taking candy or anybody from anything. But if we go off the cliff, in other words, what's going to happen? If we lose the U.S. dollar, and that will happen if we don't save it by reducing the rate of spending, it's going to affect all of us. It's going to hit us hard in North Carolina. We will become a poorer nation. And so I don't see that the Republican Party right now has a national plan to attack that. Of course, the Democrats are spend and go lucky, spend. We as Republicans talk about reducing spending, but we got to do more. And so I'm going to lead the charge to try to save the dollar on the floor of the Senate. I'm going to lead the charge for law and order, and I will stand for our veterans and for the United States military. I'll say this. I was in Greensboro speaking to the North Carolina Federation of Republican Women, and I'll tell you what I told them. I believe that the lowest ranking private in the Army, the lowest ranking seaman in the Navy, or airman in the Air Force is more important to this country than the highest ranking member of the Congress. And I think it's an absolute crime that our veterans receive inferior health care to members of the Congress, and I'm going to work to try to fix that.
Anything else I haven't asked about that you want people to know?
Well, I'm just happy to be on WUNC. I want my people to know to keep writing Julie and folks and tell them to have me back on WUNC, because we love WUNC and the University of North Carolina system. So thank you for having me. And happy Thanksgiving to you. Happy Thanksgiving to you and all your viewers and listeners.
Yeah, and happy Thanksgiving to you. Thanks for doing this on a holiday week. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
You bet. Yeah.
All right, so we are going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. So I just saw Lainey Wilson, country music star, is about to perform at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Before we get to that performance, before you watch it, we actually interviewed Lainey Wilson recently. Let's take a listen into that interview.
Well, country music superstar Lainey Wilson trading in her bell bottoms for some serious balloon-size excitement this Thanksgiving. The Grammy and CMA award-winning winner will be performing at the 99th Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade tomorrow in New York City. She joins us right now. Lainey, wow, amazing to have you. Congratulations on so many accolades to name. But let's talk about Thanksgiving Day and this parade, the iconic American tradition on Thanksgiving Day. What does that mean to you to be performing and being part of this?
It is a huge deal. Country has come to town. We are here in New York City. This is a big bucket list moment for me and my crew. I'm originally from Northeast Louisiana, and I remember me and our family being around the TV watching Macy's Day Thanksgiving Parade. So it's a big deal to be here.
Yeah, coming from small town Louisiana to big city, Big Apple. When you watch those giant balloons now in person floating down the street, talk to me about the difference from as a child to now.
It's going to be wild. I mean, this is something that I absolutely was excited to call home about, just because I associate a lot of my Thanksgiving memories with this parade. So it feels very full circle. And so I'll be looking for that Snoopy balloon.
Yeah, is that your favorite balloon?
That was my favorite balloon as a kid. I remember just always watching for the Snoopy balloon. So it probably will not be any different tomorrow.
All right, so we're talking about 8:30 in the morning. Probably going to be cold. Are you going to have the hand warmers, extra coffee? How are you preparing?
I think we're going to do all of it. Feet warmers, hand warmers, bundle up. It's going to be a beautiful day.
Does the rehearsal process differ from the stage and on live TV or what have you for something like this? It seems like it's going to be different.
It is different, I feel like for most televised performances, we all kind of do the same thing. We've got like a couple days of rehearsal. Last night we